I'm seeing double. I love this. We're back to normal. We just saw double, folks. We were seeing double with Pierce Crosby, general manager at TradingView, enjoying some nice beverages after the markets closed. We were down 16% in the S&P 500 index, despite being up for most of the day. It started to take a turn at around 1 p.m., just down it went.
Yeah. Crazy. I mean, markets are markets, right? But like so wild to see things start like 10% and then work their way back down to 0%. So sad.
I'm thinking about, how Warren Buffett sort of, depending on whether the markets closed up the day before or closed down, will impact how he what he gets at McDonald's for breakfast the next day. I'm thinking of doing that, but with alcohol. If the markets close down, I'll drink beer. If they close up, maybe I'll go for some whiskey.
Go for a whiskey.
But it's nice to have you on the show because I know TradingView is kind of, if you think about the firms doing well as a result of this unfortunate financial and health crisis, TradingView is definitely one of them. And I think over the past month, everyone and I'm sure people listening can relate to this, everyone thinks that they're now an expert trader. I had a friend of mine today text me saying that he bought some Ethereum today, asking if I was proud of him. I have yet to respond to him yet because I don't know how I'm going to frame that answer. But I guess let's start there. What has coronavirus and this health and financial crisis meant in terms of the traffic on TradingView? And before we turned on the cameras live, you talked about how the gold bugs are resurging on the platform.
Yep.
What's it been like?
I mean, the way we've been referring to it internally is the Super Bowl of trading. And it doesn't help that, sports are essentially shut down across the world as well. People don't have much to do, and so I think eventually they end up on TradingView asking the same questions as everybody, which is what's happening, what's actually going on in the markets. If there's no ESPN, people are turning on CNBC, which is crazy to think about considering average age of a CNBC viewer is like 92 or something. But, everybody and their grandmother wants to figure out why stocks are falling off the cliff, what's up with their 401k. And more importantly, can I be the next Warren Buffett? And how do I get in on the lows and sell on the highs? And I don't know why people think that now is the time, but here we are. And as a result, we're kind of at the eye of the storm, if you will. All's good at TradingView, but everybody is definitely flocking to the platform, asking that same question mark, like what the heck is actually going on? And as a result, across the board, metrics are quite strong. And it's quite weird to feel positive in a time like this because it's obviously very serious. But we're providing that essential service, which is people want answers, and more importantly, they want answers on what's happening in the markets, what's going on with the crypto world, and as we talked about, like the gold bugs, like why is gold taking back center stage? And I think the big thing that happened with the first sell-off was that whole correlation thing. I'm sure you remember where it was supposed to be crypto was super uncorrelated asset, and then all of a sudden the correlation went to 100% in the S&P 500, and everybody asked like, oh, okay, well maybe this isn't like the new gold. This is actually just another store of wealth or something like that. So gold is making this huge resurgence because of crypto's like inability to hold up against larger market momentum.
Yeah. Well, Larry Cermak, our director of research, tweeted about that this morning and has been getting lampooned by enthusiasts in the crypto world for the better part of the last 12 hours. But going back to your point about just people being drawn to charts and to markets. Speaking of Larry, he messaged the group, and it's really late into the evening his time. He messaged one of our Slack group channels that his puts are back in the game, baby. And so, it's just funny because, even at the block, we're super glued to the markets right now. And honestly, if you think about the time we're spending looking at what's going on in the S&P and the NASDAQ versus Bitcoin, it's gone from 90-10 to 60-40, maybe even 50-50. I'd be curious, in terms of your users, has recent market volatility completely sucked the life out of crypto? Are people who are, I'm sure the new accounts coming on are mostly stocks versus maybe it was crypto last year. What does that look like?
It's in terms of traffic stats overall, crypto remains kind of very entrenched as an audience because folks that trade crypto, they're diehard crypto guys. But I think that a lot of newbies and other folks are not as excited about crypto purely because daily volatility in the S&P 500 is like incomparable. This is like a scene from the 90s. I don't think I've seen anything like this since, I've been an adult, really. I mean, in terms of 2008, 2008 was just a landslide, but then, markets slowly grind higher. But the volatility today, a stock moving 10% a day can be the total market cap of all crypto. Right? When Apple's moving at 5% a day, that's billions of dollars on a daily basis. And weirdly enough, is really the question, like, why isn't crypto moving nearly as much as the other assets? I think people have definitely hit the brakes. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, it's weird because I remember thinking, and I'm not going to go and pretend that I'm some sort of master market prognosticator, but when I was sitting up in the Poconos early March when I had fled the city, I was thinking things are too quiet in crypto, and things were just too sanguine. I was actually working on a story about how everything seems to be pretty chill. And then what did we have? We had the March 12, 13 mega sell-off, and anxiety swelled. And so it was interesting up until that point. It seemed like
nobody's
crypto,
even talking about it.
No one's even talking about crypto. Now we're sort of, again, no one's talking about it again because it's in lockstep with what's going on in the broader market. S&P driving everything, really. I guess I have a question from Steven because he just pinged me. He wants to know who your favorite crypto TA trader is. Technical analysis trader.
On TradingView. All these guys are pretty.
Is their activity down? Are they? Even if you think about the OG TA crypto trading folks, are they kind of, have they started
down and out?
Are they down? Well, are they down and out, and are they kind of cheating and going into other markets?
What I see a lot is the number of people like referring new customers to their premium subscriptions. That to me is like a great indicator of how trading performance is doing these days. Like if trading isn't paying the bills, they're going to try to sell you premium products. And so we're definitely seeing a spike in product sales and stuff like that. Across the board, crypto traders are still having a great time. Most of the guys on TradingView are trading like intraday. So they're not, long-term position traders. They're just kind of looking at daily activity. I personally love Magic Poop Cannon. I don't know if you know this guy, but like
I don't. We'll have to tag him.
Definitely tag him. No. Tag Poop Cannon, and then the other guy is Excavo, who's like you just got to go to his website. It's amazing. He's I guess he's like an industrial machinist, and then eventually became a gold trader, and then eventually became a crypto trader. And here we are. They're both great guys, and we know them well. They're I guess we call them influencers on the platform. They're like big names in the space. But I think generally crypto traders, everything is fine for them. Maybe they're getting a little bit of a squeeze in terms of, downward pressure, but they're not trading stocks for sure. They stay in their lane. Crypto guys don't really overlap a ton with the equities world. I think they just have like a general pessimism around the equities world. They don't trust it, or, they're like the maximalists who want the whole world to burn down to zero. So, I don't know. We've also, it's really interesting, but like I see an overlap with like people who are very, very like bearish on the Fed and people that want crypto to like be billions of dollars. Like the whole money printer thing. I mean, that was
Mhm.
basically crypto guys like screaming at the Fed to stop doing what they were doing. Um, yeah, as a result, you just like, it's just, I don't know, a lot of pessimism. We're definitely seeing a lot of pessimism, but
Well, let's take a step back real quick and just get some hard numbers.
yeah.
Like in March, what did traffic look like, and how many new accounts were opened up?
Do we disclose that? I guess I can. I mean, I mean, I can give you kind of, this is a better stat on a daily
This
basis.
isn't live, so we can edit it after the fact.
All right, fine. So, on a daily basis,
No, it is live.
it is,
It is live.
fair. No, I'll give you,
Fair.
it's a good stat. We looked at the numbers the other day. Usually we see about 8,000 new signups a day or something like that.
Wow.
Recently, we've seen about 21 to 25,000 signups a day.
Wow.
So just purely from a numbers perspective, 3x normal. I mean, if that tells you anything, it tells you that we really captured the mind's eye of people who want data, want information, and want it fast, and are willing to pay for it. So, I mean, it's really interesting to think about how long this is going to stick around, right? Because I think initially when we got into this, we're thinking, oh, maybe 2 months. But both of us are regional to New York. We now know that like May, April.
Yeah, we're just at the plateau.
Yeah.
And what's so interesting in terms of, I really liked your point, and I haven't thought about it in this way. In a world where there are no sport outings, there are no concerts, there are no congregating on beaches and parks for fear of reprisal. I was going on a walk, and I just walked near the beach, and I mean barricades and police cars.
Yeah. This weekend in Long Island, they shut the beaches down in Long Beach. So depressing.
And as they really should, and it's getting serious. But to your point, is trading and day trading and everyone's sort of like trying to play off this volatility going to become something that fills the hole for some of us, and will that sustain? But the question I have is, in light of that, how do you keep them engaged? How do you I mean, it's easy with the volatility, right? When we think about where the market should go on any given day, they often don't go the way you would think they would, right? The day when we had the record jobless claims, it was 6.6 million. I think the markets closed up that day, which was just at first glance, you're thinking, how is that possible? How is this possible? So
estimates versus reality.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing, right? This market is you have two factors. You don't have anything to do aside from look at markets. And the second factor is it's so unpredictable. There's so many ways you can play it. Both of those things are good for any broker or provider of like
platform, etc.
Trading services.
You can only watch so much Netflix, right? I think that's what people are coming to realize is like eventually I can only watch so many movies or series on repeat. Like, I think, Tiger King should have been at least 20 episodes long because the timing would have been spot on. But now they've blown through Tiger King, so they got to get back to doing something. And, I mean, I think I haven't looked at overall internet stats, but I mean, I assume we're just one of many who have, seen skyrocketing internet traffic overall, just because, what else are you doing, right? I guess the thing is we're probably in a category where we're actually more productive, educational. People are actually doing this because they are interested in investing, which is positive overall. Not all these people are trying to go full YOLO, like Wall Street bet style and make millions of dollars in a second. They're just seeing this as maybe a once in a lifetime opportunity to just invest some money and put a little savings away if they have it. I mean, it goes to show that retail investing is is far from dead, and in fact, like bigger than ever. Probably, because of the likes of the Robin Hoods of the world, where, it's super easy to get started. And once you put in 500 bucks, you're going to put in $1,000, you're going to put in $5,000. And
well, it could have been worse timing for the brokers to all go to zero commissions, because think about, I mean, they could have been making money hand over fist.
Well, your point the other day about the crypto guys making huge money on spreads, like insane money, because that same mentality of zero commission doesn't exist in the broker world yet. It's like, again, it's like E-Trade in '95. Like, they're just making an absolute killing, because they're probably making, I don't know, anywhere from $1 to $3 a trade, which doesn't seem like a lot, but if you're trading crypto intraday, I assume that those are big bucks for those guys. I haven't seen numbers for any of the crypto guys, but I mean, the Binance deal solidifies that, to me, is that they're making enough money that they can throw around 300 mil.
Yeah, I mean, the Binance deal definitely came at an interesting time. Was surprising to me, but it's a similar business to what you guys run, CMC, that is. So I'm sure we could go into that, but that's kind of a digression. If you think about we'll stay on markets. We won't touch CMC. We've touched them enough. When you think about the increase in traffic, the increase in account signups, what else can you do right now to sort of leverage that audience growth and keep them engaged, right? Because you don't want them to leave when June or July or August comes around. So I'm sure you have many different cylinders firing in terms of educational content, maybe some sort of promotions. I'm sure you're thinking of something.
Yeah. I mean, we won't give you the whole playbook, but no, I mean, one of the big ones for us is streaming, for sure. And I think we just passed something like a key benchmark in terms of hours streamed. It's something like 10,000 hours streamed from our users. And so the streaming product is phenomenal. Basically, people can create their own television, much like we are right now. But you can, as an individual user on TradingView, you can now stream live every day as long as you want, no cost or anything like that. We're building in kind of a subscription model around that. People can pay for premium streams. You can tip fellow streamers. And, I mean, if you're thinking about it, television is just so much more, consumable for an average trader than, reading through comments or, looking through best ideas from, like I said, some of these influencers, stuff like that. I can just turn on, Frankie Day Trades, and here we go. We can watch, Frank lose all his money on triple leverage biotech or whatever.
I literally tried to buy a triple levered volatility ETF.
That's the hot stuff.
Through Chase, and they wouldn't let me.
They wouldn't let you. Yeah. Well, I think some are putting in leverage restrictions because they can be extremely over levered, especially at times like this when markets move at 10%. If you're doing
I'm good for the money, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because it's your bank. Yeah. I don't even know. It's You Invest. Are you using You Invest?
I use You Invest. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
It's not it's not the prettiest product, but it's kind of it's all there under one roof.
I met the head of product for You Invest. What was that? 2 years ago. She'd been working on it for 3 years. She said there was still another year before anything got live, and then she left before it even got rolled out. So I'm just like, what is the point of this product? I don't really know.
Yeah. Well, JP Morgan JP Morgan's an incredible bank, and the amount of money they put towards technology is north of $9 billion. But I mean, You Invest isn't the prettiest product. The rollout wasn't great. And then they had that mega disaster of Fin, which was supposed to be their online bank. But they shut it down, right? They shut it down, for many different reasons, lack of interest. But they've tried to incorporate some of the Fin sort of characteristics into the into the just general Chase mobile app, which has been, I've liked it. I enjoy. I think it's a really good mobile app. But getting back to TradingView, I didn't ask this at the beginning, but I think it's an important question. Why do you think people are choosing you guys?
Why do people choose us? I mean, we've been doing charts for 20 plus years. Before TradingView, these guys founded another company called MultiCharts, which was the equivalent of back when I was a child. You would download like desktop software and actually install it on your PC or your Windows. And so they built this desktop software very comparable to TradeStation at the time, or eSignal, which is another product at the time. And that's their bread and butter. And they thought, okay, let's do this for the web. But they brought that really hardcore technical trader mentality to the web. And comparably, I don't think anybody does charting better than we do. And in terms of our, I guess, our bedrock, like what are we strongest with? Charting has always been there. I mean, I think that today we have a lot more than just charts. A lot of people are coming to us now because of the commentary, because you have guys chatting all day, every day about, again, triple leverage biotech or gold or the SPY or BTC. So because I guess it has so much data and so much charting, you really can't get any of that. We can't get that much for free. You can go to a lot of products and they'll end up charging you XYZ. We literally just give it away. And I mean, the bigger we get, the more we can give away. So it actually compounds on itself as well. I mean, we have something close to 13 million monthly users of the product. And if we, look at our kind of monthly billing on the data side, we pay a lot of money for data. But on a relative basis, we pay less every month the more users we have. So it's a logarithmic scale, basically. So that's why people end up on the site, is because they need extremely hardcore charts for the 5 companies that they're invested in. And where are you going to get that? I mean, you can go to your broker for sure, but for the most part, broker's just going to give you an order ticket and say, you want some news, and take it or leave it. We're much more of like, here's like a support group. Let's chat with them. What do they think? Get some ideas, throw it around a little bit. I don't think anybody does that really comparably. So, the one thing you guys did recently was roll out those COVID-19 related charts in terms of the number of cases, which is public data via GitHub from Johns Hopkins. I actually know a guy at Deutsche Bank that copy pasted our code, and it's literally on the big monitors inside of Deutsche is our charts. Like if you walk into the lobby, which is so weird to think that our publicly available data is now inside of, I mean, it just goes to show like how weird the world is. But that data is amazing. And
it's really great data. And you were telling me before we went live about how people are using that data and engaging with it relative to other, other charts and other asset classes. Talk to us a little bit about how they're leveraging those charts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this data doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? It's all relative to other assets. I mean, I guess the big one that we've been seeing is like infection rates versus overall indexes. There's an amazing chart today looking at different time series of data. So looking at the comparison of where we are in the US versus where Italy was, where South Korea is. And you can plug in as many data sets as you want on top of each other, and then really try to get a sense of where are we in the cycle? What does that mean for the overall market? I mean, I think a lot of people are trying to imply that the stock market has some kind of correlation with the actual economy. I mean, I think that there's a lot more that goes into the actual economy than just the stock market. But
Yeah.
as a general indicator, right, it's like an easy way to say, hey, look, market's up, cases are down. This has got to be like a turning point, if you will. But I mean, just making that data available.
Well, it's
so much, yeah.
Well, that's exactly the point that Tom Lee was making last week when he was on the show. The question right now, or the question then, was, are the markets going to follow the economic data, jobless claims, unemployment, the number of businesses that are going to continue to be shut?
Reporting earnings,
earnings, which we're going to see more and more of. Or is it going to follow the health data? And today showed, at least in the beginning, an indication that maybe we were following the health data. So New York reporting that the number of hospitalizations is going down. And so I kind of mentioned that in one of our trading groups today, and one of our researchers said, we'll wait for earnings. And so that's still the open question, is when we see what the earnings are going to be, is that going to trump the healthcare data, which is, at this point, let's hope to God, is taking a turn, or is at a turning point.
Yeah.
Well, and so I'm sure that's how people
itself.
On the platform, the people on TradingView are sort of grappling with this similar question.
Yeah. And I think that people think in general, the market generally, the SPY, as just an indicator of what is known, right? And so if the market's down on a given day, that tells you something is turning point or a correction for a reason. And then people try to reverse engineer from that, like, okay, what is this actually from? Well, I think that the tightest correlation, if you will, from one to the other recently is just all health data. And in terms of fundamentals, I don't think fundamentals have played a role in the market for upwards of a month. I can't think of any time in March that I've really been like, wow, this is super undervalued. I mean, things are trading at insane ratios not seen since, I don't know, the 60s, the 50s. I mean, when, just as an example, we talked a little bit about beforehand, but American Express, just because I've been laughing at this, I mean, it trades at 6 times earnings, which is, like, historically speaking, almost unheard of, if not unprecedented. The company's 100 years old, So fundamentals really don't come back into play, I think, until we do start to see earnings. And so everybody's just trading sentiment in the interim, and sentiment is really all health data.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
no, I think that's really a really interesting aspect of this market, which in so many different ways is unique. One way that makes it fundamentally unique is the fact that so many of us are working remotely and are not, side by side, brothers in arms. I miss my teammates so much.
Yeah, what's work from home like? What do you? How do you stay motivated? Tell us a little bit about your routine.
Oh, sure. Yeah, the interviewee becomes the interviewer. What is my routine? It is very much the same thing. I sleep on the pull-out couch over here.
Beautiful.
I wake up at around 6. I mosey on over to the island in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. I turn on my computer. I wait for my sister to wake up to make me coffee because I don't know how to use the French press. One day she's going to do a demo with me, but she doesn't really trust me to use it.
Definitely.
She thinks I'm going to break it, so she tries to have me avoid touching as many things as possible. And then we do our editorial call. I'll read a bunch of news. I'll take some phone calls. I go on a run. I shower. Do some more phone calls. Interview people like you. And then we do dinner. And then I read the paper. And then I'm forced to watch America's Next Top Model.
There you go.
Not by choice, but I do find it interesting. I find it educational.
I mean, let's be honest. If they're talking about COVID-19 on America's Next Top Model, I mean, that's a great indicator. We should probably we should chart that on TradingView some way. We're
earlier seasons, so I'm in like 2007.
Oh, you're taking it way back. Got it.
So I'm about to see what America's Next Top Model was during the financial crisis.
Financial crisis.
Which will be edifying. So that's my work from home schedule. It's definitely boring, but that's this is we're going to get through this. But I guess the question is, in terms of TradingView, how does remote work impact this sort of company's ability to do what it does?
Yeah. Well, we've always been somewhat of a remote company. Our headquarters is in London, but I have working with me basically 30 regional growth managers in Japan, China, Singapore, Malaysia, India, Brazil, Germany, France, Spain, you name it. So they work remote 24/7. I mean, we're plugged in to I don't know if you know Asana, but we work off Asana, we work off Slack, we work off we have a CRM software called Bittrex24, not to be confused with the crypto exchange. And so all of my workflow is remote in general. I think we've just been prepared for this for a long time. And so, in fact, I mean, during this time, we're actually hiring like crazy. It's quite interesting because this is the first time that I don't think I've ever met a candidate prior to onboarding them in some way, shape, or form. So so we're hiring a bunch of people in London. We're bringing on some people here in New York as well. But yeah, I mean, it's business as usual. I think a lot of folks like yourself, right? There's the camaraderie aspect, and I think that I definitely do appreciate that. But I mean, not for a while, right? So many virtual happy hours with you, with other employees, with other friends, and I think that keeps spirits up across the board. Like I just hopped on one with our marketing team recently, and we just kind of shoot the shit and talk about how it's actually impacting them, and but for the most part, business as usual. Could be worse.
So what's the marketing strategy right now? Tell us a little bit about that meeting.
I mean, it's for us, marketing is we don't actually do a ton of outbound marketing, so we're not buying ads, we're not rolling out big campaigns on Google or YouTube or something like that. All we really do is we try to constantly improve the core experience on TradingView. So we're always trying to figure out a better kind of workflow for each individual user that comes to the product, and ultimately how we can serve them better. And for the longest time, we've been super hardcore traders. And so what we're really thinking through is a strategy for, I mean, as you can imagine, like the Robinhood types who are just getting started and they don't know, rhyme from reason. So as you mentioned, education is a big part of that, and trying to give people a roadmap so they don't rip their face off as most new traders do. I mean, I remember when I was in college more than a decade ago, and I don't know, I mean, I blew up 3 accounts, I think, before realizing that you don't have to use 10 times leverage on the S&P 500. And so if we can help people save money, it's a win for us overall, because then the value of that customer is extended over time and stuff like that. So we're really trying to figure out how we make the experience more comprehensive, not just for like the really hardcore guys, because we don't need to train them. Like, they know what they're doing, and like, if you ever look at some charts on TradingView, I mean, I literally have no idea what's going on in these charts, but
it's like calculus. So are you thinking of putting out content around leverage or some of these more complex financial instruments that people
even the simple stuff? I mean, do you even know? I mean, I don't know particularly the exact calculation of a candle chart, right? If it's a hammer or if it's a reverse hammer, stuff like this. I mean, these are super simple concepts from a technical perspective, but as the average investor, I think I'm probably a good example because I'm just not a hardcore trader. But if I wanted to be, how do I get there? Like, what's my roadmap? And for the most part, You can find little bits and pieces of this stuff. Like we love Investopedia. They're an amazing company, and they do a lot of this really well for a lot of subjects. Like if you ever want to figure out EBITDA for whatever reason because you're a psychopath, but you could if you went to Investopedia. So likewise, we could be somewhat of an educational provider for the TA world and the kind of charting world and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's kind of the thinking is make it more accessible, make it easier, at least so you don't destroy yourself too early on in the process.
Totally.
So,
What about new products that can kind of help you either draw away users from the competition or expand your client base? Stephen was talking to me earlier today about a troll box like thing where you might have something like StockTwix where people can sort of chat with one another while trading. Social the social aspect of trading has been something
ballooned.
that we've seen balloon. From eToro to, I remember when I first interviewed the Robinhood guys when they rolled out their new
wow,
platform.
how old are you, Frank? That's crazy.
I know I'm like 77 years old, so I was there in the beginning. I remember barely, but no, they want to draw inspiration away from Amazon and social media platforms. So how do you build products around that and something like the troll box like thing? Would you do something like that?
I mean, I think that there's a lot of experts out there already, right? So it's kind of like hanging our shingle in a super crowded market is hard to do. I mean, the crypto world, I'm sure you're in a million Discord chats, right? Or Telegram chats, and in a lot of cases, I think that they do cover the bases, if you will. I think that we always question how we can be more helpful for users to, kind of consolidate that experience. But I mean, Discord did it right. Like, I don't know if we can compete with that. Like, they are just so easy and simple and shareable. And I think more recently have built kind of like payment layers around premium rooms and all this stuff. I mean, I don't know. I mean, are you guys thinking about going in on a whole crypto chat universe troll box?
We need to first get onto your news feed before
we talk about your product. Sure.
Maybe go before we go down that line of questioning.
Yeah. Sure.
No, I mean, we do have a Slack group for our Genesis members. To plug Genesis for a second, where we kind of they can sort of engage with the team in a more intimate way, and we can sort of share our content without the cacophony of noise that exists in crypto Twitter. So yeah, I mean, I think messaging is extremely an important component to any product, especially in this space where you have influx of information and an overwhelming amount of information.
Yeah, I think there's like a huge value in basically having a sifting service. That's the way I think of it, is like I could myself go through and try to debunk like 9 out of 10 articles, or I can have a crew of people that I trust, divvy the workload up, and then you can all be better for it, right? And that's the base of a network. Before I worked at TradingView, I worked at StockTwits, and the core thesis was, build as Howard would always say, build a Peloton. And a Peloton is basically, I mean, now because it's a public company, but it's a crew of people that work together to get better. And really, I think, it works for the Tour de France and it works for trading, right? If you can, build a group, who knows? Peloton of basket weavers. It's more powerful than individual.
Possibly. Well, I guess we're getting close to the 40-minute mark, and we like to keep these things tight. So I guess my last question will be: we're going to open. Yes.
No, go ahead.
No, we're going to open up tomorrow or down, you think?
Oh, if I had to bet one way or the other.
Let's make a bet. We'll make a little bet.
All right, you and me, Frankie. We'll go big on this. I'd say tomorrow is Wednesday. There's no big economic data. Thursday's a big day. Also, for those who are not aware, Friday markets are closed, so that's going to have some impact on the overall way things go. I'd say tomorrow, if we finish down today, fingers crossed, I'm always bullish. I'd be bullish, but temporarily, just because generally speaking, Thursday is such an unknown, and I don't even want to be caught with like any potential risk on that day. But let's be up tomorrow. Might as well.
We'll be up tomorrow. All right, I'll take the other side of that bet.
Okay. All right.
Drink when we can. $5. All right. Sounds good. All right. Thanks, bud.
Yep.
Pierce Crosby of TradingView.